waited so long for this. Let it be now. I dream day and night of this. Let it be now. So lost in the moon, I fear our love's sitting.
Good evening, friends. This is Dick Rothman, and the voice in the background is that of Ronnie Littell, lovely singer, composer, lyricist, pianist, and more. Every artist is distinctive in style, working out private thoughts and ideals. Ronnie Littell sees herself as an inspirational writer whose songs are a manifestation of her search for meaning and truth. Her music and lyrics, so deeply sensitive, stirred desirable emotions of many affirmative kinds. We will soon recognize this as she begins to perform her own original material. This evening, however, there will be something added, and we could look forward to an unusual surprise ending. But for now, let us enjoy Ronnie Littell and her songs.
Oh, it's wrong. My heart says be kind. Here between heaven and earth, I see my life, my love, drifting away. Out here between heaven and earth, tomorrow's dreams were lost, the hope of yesterday. Only moments ago, we embraced in a crowd, said our goodbyes as we so often do. Then somehow I heard my heart cry out so loud as you turned to go. You never even knew. Now looking down above the clouds, how strange, how sad the view. This I've come to know, for all it is worth. Our two different worlds have taken our love, it's true. I found the answer out here, alone between heaven and earth. And somehow I heard my heart cry out so loud as you turned to go. You never even knew. Now looking down above the clouds, how strange, how sad the view. This I've come to know, for all it is worth. Our two different worlds have taken our love, it's true. I found the answer out here, alone between heaven and earth. treasures, life's joys, exotic places that I've yet to see. If I were given only one choice, this is where I would want to be. Here, all that I've longed for is here, so close to me, dear, as you fill my arms. Here there will be no other, it's clear. No, never not here to equal your charms. So now as we dance, let the sound of the music warm your heart. Our meeting was only by chance and must end still long after we part. I know I'll always be grateful, my dear. We had these moments together. I didn't dream you were here. So now as we dance, let the sound of the music warm your heart. Our meeting was only by chance and must end still long after we part. I know I'll always be grateful, my dear. We had these moments together. I didn't dream this. You were Why now the sudden surprise? I've known it's true. This day would come, I'd be left without you. Still I understand this never could be. Though you cared, your past came between you and me. But this above all, you can be sure of. No one could want you more than I do love. With time to recall, looking back I can see the beginning and the end of a dream, part of my life gone without me. My lonely tears I'll forget, my heart will smile and remember. Had we never met, I would miss love in all its splendor. You alone I'll forgive anything. I'd run if you call, to again know the warmth of you in spring. This above all.
Hello, I'm Bill Burtonshaw. On a holiday show hosted by Joe Franklin, Ronnie Littell came up with a most interesting thought.
I believe there was a higher plan in my call to the piano, where the creative process came into motion. Every song, a stepping stone, leading me higher and higher, preparing me for this overwhelming experience, my revelation.
With the untimely passing of her dad, David Payoff, Ronnie Littell had a deeply spiritual, motivating experience. The concept she put together, both in story and in song, was first seen and discussed on the Joe Franklin Show on Channel 9 here in New York. Her vision was so inspirational, and it received such enthusiastic response from the television audience, not only here in New York, but nationwide, that Joe had her back on several times. And it was from this that we picked her up for WOR Radio, where she appeared with us on Challenge to Faith, and also on WNBC Radio on In Good Faith. And as well as the TV audience, the radio audience was very much impressed and very much moved with Ronnie Littell's revelation. For those of you who may have tuned in late to this telecast, joining us now, Joe Franklin. Joe Franklin hosts Memory Lane, coast to coast on Channel 9, the Superstation. Here in New York, it's seen from 5:30 to 6:30 a.m. New York time, and then again from 2 to 3 a.m. He also precedes me on WOR. Joe is on from midnight to 5 a.m. I follow him at 5 a.m., and Joe has a new show on WOR now from 7 to 9:30 every Saturday night. Welcome, Joe.
On the radio. It's kind of the
right.
early bird edition, but what we're doing here today with Ronnie Littell in promoting positive American values, I think is, you think of a value such as family togetherness, even long after the person is no longer with us physically, Bill. This to me is, you talk about something challenging, rewarding, and productive. If other people can sort of hope to follow into Ronnie Littell's footsteps by tapping into other unusual spiritual forces and spiritual powers, I think. I mean, you were nice enough to want to talk about me, but I'm so overwhelmed, I'm so remarkably overwhelmed by Ronnie Littell's dossier and by her remarkable, sensitive, inspirational power as a weaver of words, as a songwriter. I mean, it's there are no words. It's just I'm stunned. And I'll tell you one thing, Bill. I happen to be a great, great advocate of honoring Dad. I love Mother's Day. I know Groucho Marx used to sing a song, "Remember Dad on Mother's Day," and I just love that whole. Can I get sentimental?
Sure.
I play the old records on the radio, Bill. I play a song called "Daddy, You've Been a Mother to Me." I just can remember my mother. Angels one day took her away. You took her place with a smile on your face. That's why I'm happy today. Daddy, dear old Daddy, you've been more than a daddy to me. You might have gone with the boys every night. You gave them up just to bring me up right. Daddy, dear old Daddy, way up above she can see. You were more than a dad. You're the best friend I had. Daddy, you've been a mother to me. I am a great, And then there's even a second verse. The leaves of the autumn are falling deep in your eyes, our wintry skies. I was your friend. No, you were my friend, always there to defend. I'll be your son till the end. And then they repeat the chorus. That was written by a man named Fred Fisher, about 1920, the man who wrote so many great songs, Dardanella and Peg of My Heart and Chicago. And by the modern provider of good father significance, Ronnie Littell. In those days, there was a song like, give a little credit to your dad. Why don't you say a word for dear old father? I know that he'd do just as much for you. Since you first played with a rattle, he's helped you fight life's battle. He's been tried and true. God bless him. You'll miss him when he's gone, so treat him kindly and overlook what little faults he's had. Keep right on loving mother, but remember, there's one other, and give a little credit to your dad. And I think it's great that we're doing something for Dad, because Dad deserves it, right, Bill?
I think so. I know my own experiences. I met Ronnie Littell. My father's been in the hospital the past 3 or 4 months, and just going back and forth to the hospital, you realize how important something is. But do you think, Joe, I noticed the response we had when Ronnie was on both WOR Radio and WOR TV. It seems to be more of a unification of the family now, don't you think? More families are listening to radio and looking at television together?
Family togetherness. What Ronnie is trailblazing here today will motivate other people to employ more of their mind. You know, I don't want to give any percentages, but only a small part of the brain is used. So what the part of the mind that she used in receiving this message might encourage more people to think good thoughts.
Speaking of
more peace on earth and peace of mind.
Right. Speaking of receiving the message, Ronnie mentioned to me prior to this telecast that what we'll be seeing and listening to later in the broadcast, My Revelation and You Were Here in a Dream. Her father passed away 5 years ago, and she's devoted the last 5 years to one record album.
There's a thin line between being driven or obsessed, as Ronnie is, into something that has great merit and great spiritual value for the world, and being driven and obsessed into something that's trivial and time-wasting. What Ronnie is doing, I mean, is so super important and so super beautiful that if it took 5 years or 25 years or 50 years to receive the revelation or the message that she got, there wouldn't have been one wasted moment there, because every moment spent in pursuit of such a meaningful event is a golden moment. So if she spent 5 years, I would like to think that's billions of golden moments.
First time I met Ronnie, and actually first time on the air, was when you came over to WOR Radio. You received the Council of Churches Olive Award, the Radio TV Industry Award, advertising industry included, for your 30 years in television, giving people such as Ronnie Littell an opportunity to appear on both television and radio.
The Olive Award that is most meaningful to me, and I'm very happy that it was through my little bit of activity with Ronnie Littell and Dick and with you that helped to contribute to my receiving that very cherished award, and I do cherish it.
My Revelation and You Were Here in a Dream by Ronnie Littell. I think Joe Franklin will agree, and our audience will agree, that if there's life after life, Ronnie Littell's dad, David Payoff, has heard this somewhere from this telecast. What's given you the greatest satisfaction in your career?
Knowing you, Bill. You know, I've done 72,000 interviews, which they tell me is somewhat of a TV track record. I've done 5 hours with Ronald Reagan before he became president, John Kennedy, Richard Nixon, Charlie Chaplin. I've had Gary Cooper, I've had Woody Allen, and I certainly was among my golden dozen, and chatting on TV with Ronnie Littell. And not only was it interesting and fascinating, but for me it was memorable the fact that I broke the ice on TV in relation to Ronnie and her incredibly inspirational revelation. So that goes among my all-time satisfactions, and I mean that, Bill.
And I think it's time to listen to this album. Incidentally, the dedication to Ronnie Littell's dear sons, Bruce and Scott, with whom she shares this gift of love for her dad.
It was a warm summer evening in June, my last and most memorable visit with him. He looked so peaceful lying there on his side. And as I leaned over and whispered, "I love you, Dad," there was no response. Again I repeated, "Daddy, I love you." And while he seemed to be breathing comfortably, there was still no response. That night, a revelation came to me in a dream. A divine figure, so majestic in appearance, in the form of an infant child, came through my dad. Of such perfection, such beauty, with so radiant a smile, this figure began to rise, leaving his body lying there as I had seen it earlier that day. Only now, an overwhelming look of joy, as in that of the infant child, was in my dad's expression. When I awoke that morning, I was exalted, for the experience had lifted my being to a level far beyond my deepest imagination, where life is infinite. Days later, my dad passed on, and again in a dream, a vision came to me. From a distant cloud through his eyes, the mirrors of his soul, came the brightest glow of joy. It was suddenly all so clear that in the rising of the infant child, I had seen my dad's spiritual rebirth, and later his glorification. What a beautiful soul, what a sight to behold. Here on earth, my dad will best be remembered as a gentle man with a sensitive artistic nature, who in earlier days when he courted my mother, was a very fine classical pianist. Dad had a great love of God and appreciation of his most magnificent and delightful presence to us, music. The greatest gift of all was given to me in this revelation. There was so much love in the experience. Where I once said I believe, I now say I know of God. Some weeks later, I recorded the vision twice seen in a song entitled, "You Were Here in a Dream," a tribute to my dad, David Payoff. You were here in a dream so divine. This miracle I have seen will forever be mine. As you appeared in a dream, you touched my heart and I knew a blessed joy I have seen, the very soul of you. And through your eyes the brightest glow came from a world we mortals never see. You're taking bows, this is your show. You've just begun to play the greatest symphony. Strange as this now may seem, the gift of love you gave to me. You appeared in a dream. We'll share together forever through eternity. has never seen. You're taking bows, this is your show. You've just begun to cry, great is symphony. Strange as this now may seem, the gift of love you gave to me when you appeared in a dream. We'll share together forever through eternity.